A Chinese company has built an actual flying car, put it on a real assembly line, and started taking real orders from real customers, and not a handful. Around 7,000 people and companies have already put money down to buy one. The first unit has already rolled off a factory floor built to produce 10,000 of them a year. This isn't a concept at an auto show, it's a product with a price tag, a factory, and a waiting list. And it exists because China made a national decision, pushed from the very top under Xi Jinping, to own the sky just above our heads before anyone else even shows up. Here's exactly what they built, and why the rest of the world suddenly looks a decade behind. If you enjoy videos about the technology quietly reshaping our world, hit like and subscribe so you never miss one. Let's start with the machine itself, because it's stranger and cleverer than the words flying car suggest. It's made by a company called Aridge, the flying car arm of the Chinese electric car maker XPeng. And it's called the Land Aircraft Carrier. The parent company, XPeng, is one of China's rising electric car makers, and its billionaire founder, He Xiaopeng, has poured the profits and engineering muscle of a fast-growing car company into the dream of flight. The flying car unit itself has been working on this since 2013. More than a decade of quiet development while the rest of the world assumed flying cars were still science fiction. And that name, Land Aircraft Carrier, is the key to the whole idea. It's not one vehicle, it's two, working together. The first part is what they call the mothership, a massive six-wheeled van about 18 feet long that looks like a Tesla Cybertruck that hit the gym. It drives on the road like a normal car. You can even operate it with an ordinary driver's license. And it can travel more than 1,000 kilometers on a charge and a tank because it carries its own gasoline range extender to keep the batteries topped up. But the back half of that van isn't for luggage, it's a hangar, because folded up inside it is the second part, an actual aircraft. When you reach somewhere you want to fly, the back of the mothership opens, and out comes a small two-seat flying machine made of lightweight carbon fiber. It has 6 rotors on folding arms that unfold like a transformer, and it lifts straight up into the air. No runway needed, just like a helicopter. The mothership on the ground doubles as its charging station and its garage, so the aircraft never needs a hangar or an airport. You drive to the edge of the city or out to a scenic mountain, pop the back, unfold the wings, and fly. When you land, it folds back up and tucks into the van. That's the trick that's defeated every flying car dreamer for a century. What do you do with the wings and rotors when you're on the road? Aridge's answer was to stop trying to make one machine do both jobs and instead build a car that carries its own aircraft. Simple, once someone finally thought of it. And the numbers behind it are real engineering, not marketing. The aircraft module seats 2, its cockpit built from lightweight carbon fiber to save every possible gram. Its 6 rotors are spread across folding arms with a dual duct design. And here's a safety detail that matters. With that many separate motors and propellers, if one fails, the others keep it flying. The same principle that makes big drones so stable. It can be flown by a human or fly itself autonomously. The company has already run something like 20,000 test flights across its various aircraft, and more than 200 units were being tested before the design was even locked in. This is not a napkin sketch. It's a machine that has already spent thousands of hours in the air. Now here's the part that turns a wild concept into a genuine shock. They're actually building it at a scale no one else is close to. On the 3rd of November 2025, the first land aircraft carrier rolled off a production line in the city of Guangzhou, the world's first mass production line for flying cars. Think about that phrase for a second. Not a hand-built prototype in a workshop, a real factory floor. 120,000 square meters, the size of many football fields, built to use the same modern assembly methods that pump out ordinary cars, applied to aircraft. At full speed, that plant is designed to complete one flying module every 30 minutes and produce up to 10,000 of them a year. For comparison, the American flying car and air taxi companies everyone talks about, names like Joby and Archer, are still, as of now, building small numbers and haven't sold a single flight to a paying passenger. China didn't just win the race to a prototype, it won the race to a production line, and the customers are already lining up with real money. Aridge says it has taken somewhere around 7,000 pre-orders for the land aircraft carrier. The price is about 2 million Chinese yuan, roughly $280,000. That's supercar money, no question, but think about what you're actually buying. A luxury off-road vehicle and a personal aircraft in one package, with no need for a hangar or an airport or the fees that come with them. The orders aren't just from wealthy individuals dreaming of flying over traffic. They're coming from companies, from tourism operators, from emergency service planners. At an event in Dubai, Aridge signed a single deal for 600 of the vehicles with a group of Middle Eastern business partners, the largest overseas order the flying car industry has ever seen. When corporate buyers place orders in the hundreds, this stops being a toy and starts being an industry. And Aridge isn't just showing this off behind closed doors in China. In October of 2025, it flew the land aircraft carrier in a full public piloted flight in Dubai, in front of international partners and cameras, a Chinese flying car lifting off over one of the world's flashiest cities, while American rivals were still running test flights at home. That single image, more than any spec sheet, is what rattled the industry. The future didn't launch from Silicon Valley or Detroit, it launched from Guangzhou. So how did China get so far ahead of everyone in something the West has been chasing for decades? The answer is the same force behind so many of these stories, and it starts at the top. Under Xi Jinping, the Chinese government identified something it calls the low-altitude economy, all the business that could happen in the sky just below where airliners fly, from delivery drones to air taxis to personal flying cars, and declared it a national strategic priority. And the scale of the ambition is staggering. A Chinese industry group predicts the country could have more than 100,000 flying cars, air taxis, and large delivery drones filling its skies by 2030. China's low-altitude economy was already worth over 500 billion yuan a couple of years ago, and official forecasts see it swelling past 3 trillion yuan, around $400 billion, within a decade. This isn't a vague slogan. It comes with money, with infrastructure, and most importantly, with speed on the one thing that usually kills flying cars: regulation. A flying car isn't held back by whether you can build it. It's held back by whether the government will let it fly. And here, China has a stunning advantage. Its aviation regulator has been certifying these new aircraft in about 31 months. In the United States, the equivalent approval process can stretch to 5, 6, even 7 years. While American companies wait half a decade for permission, Chinese companies are already in the air, learning, improving, and selling. That gap in speed isn't an accident. It's a deliberate choice by a government that decided being first was worth clearing the runway for. China also has every other piece already in place, which is why it could move so fast. It makes the world's best and cheapest batteries the single most important part of any electric aircraft. It dominates the global drone industry, so it already knows how to build flying machines with lots of rotors that stabilize themselves. And it has more than 30 companies racing in this space at once, all pushing each other forward. The land aircraft carrier gets the headlines, but behind it is a whole swarm. One Chinese company just flew the world's largest flying car, a 5-ton machine that carries 10 passengers like a flying bus. Another showed off a flying vehicle shaped like a UFO. This isn't one lucky company with one clever product. It's an entire national industry lifting off at the same moment, the way China's electric car industry did a few years ago, right before it took over the world. This is the moment to be completely honest with you, because a flying car you can buy needs an asterisk, and the truth is more interesting than the hype. Yes, the factory is real, the orders are real, and the first units are real. But there's a hurdle between building these machines and having thousands of them buzzing over your city, and it's the same hurdle every country faces: permission to fly. Aridge still needs the final aviation certificates, the official government sign-offs that say the aircraft is safe to carry passengers on a large scale. The company is working through that approval now, with early deliveries beginning in China through 2026 and fuller rollout expected into 2027. So if you ordered one tomorrow, you wouldn't be commuting to work by air next week. A finished factory can't put aircraft into everyday use until the regulators say yes, and aviation safety, rightly, does not move at the speed of a phone launch. That said, this is exactly where China's edge shows again. One Chinese flying machine company got its aircraft certified in about 31 months. In the West, that same journey routinely takes 5 to 7 years. One well-known European flying car startup actually ran out of money and collapsed into insolvency while waiting. So even the slow part of the process moves faster in China than almost anywhere else, which means the gap between the factory being ready and the skies being open may close sooner there than the skeptics expect. And there are real questions beyond paperwork. At nearly $300,000, this is, for now, a machine for the wealthy and for businesses, not the average family. Much like the first automobiles were toys for the rich before they became something everyone owned. There's the problem of noise. People love the idea of a flying car at an auto show, but they may feel very differently when rotors are humming over their neighborhood at dinner time. There's the enormous challenge of air traffic. You cannot have thousands of amateur pilots wandering the sky wherever they please, which is exactly why China is spending so much effort writing the rule book and building landing pads before the fleets arrive. So the honest picture is this: China has genuinely built and is genuinely selling the world's first mass-produced flying car. But we are at the very beginning of this story, not the end. The machine is finished. The world it will fly in is still being built. But here's why this still matters enormously and why it should make the rest of the world sit up. For 100 years, the flying car was the ultimate symbol of the future that never arrives. Every generation was promised it, and every generation was let down. China just took that broken promise and turned it into a product with a serial number. And the significance isn't really about a few thousand rich people flying over traffic. It's about who owns the next great layer of transportation. If the low-altitude economy becomes what China is betting it will, a whole new world of air taxis, flying ambulances, aerial delivery, and personal aircraft, then the country that builds the vehicles, writes the rules, and runs the factories will dominate an industry that barely exists yet. The same way it came from behind to dominate electric cars, batteries, solar panels, and drones. China isn't just building a flying car, it's trying to own the sky the way it came to own the road. So where does this go from here? Expect Aridge to begin its first deliveries in China and then push into the Middle East, where wealthy buyers, open space, and eager regulators make an ideal first market. Expect the price to start high and then fall year after year as the factories scale and the technology matures. The exact pattern that turned Chinese electric cars from a joke into a juggernaut. Expect more Chinese companies, more designs, more flying machines rolling off more assembly lines, while Western rivals are still stuck in certification. And expect the strange sight of a six-wheeled van popping open its back and launching an aircraft into the sky to go over the next few years, from a viral video to something you actually see. The flying car was the future we were promised and never got. China just built it, priced it, and started shipping it. The dream didn't die, it just moved to Guangzhou. And the rest of the world is now watching the sky, wondering how it fell this far behind. And the deeper lesson is the one that keeps repeating. While the West debated whether flying cars were even a good idea, China quietly built the factory, took the orders, and started the clock. That has become the pattern of this decade. The future gets imagined in the West and manufactured in China. The flying car is just the version of that story you'll soon be able to see with your own eyes, lifting off from a six-wheeled van somewhere over a Chinese city, while the rest of us are still stuck in traffic.